Now, what should I even say? At this moment, the entire world media is covering this news. You can see dozens of articles being published on it, saying that Vladimir Putin has openly called Europe's current leaders little pigs. I mean, this is an extremely aggressive comment by Vladimir Putin. Along with that, he also added that Russia will now comfortably occupy a large portion of Ukraine. Whatever goals Russia has regarding Ukraine, Russia will accomplish them. Now you might be thinking here, if Putin calls major European leaders like Emmanuel Macron, Giorgia Meloni, Keir Starmer, and various other European leaders little pigs, why does this become such huge news? Why is the world media covering this so extensively? The reason is simple. Any remaining hope of peace regarding the Ukraine war, that finally this war would stop, that fighting would end, that Donald Trump would enforce a ceasefire, as Trump used to say that within 10 days of becoming president, he would make a ceasefire happen, all of that has failed. Now it does not seem that a ceasefire between Ukraine and Russia is going to happen. By saying this one sentence, Putin has categorically told the entire world that the Russia-Ukraine war will now continue for a long time. It may last for several years. And note this carefully, just as this major statement came from Putin, Volodymyr Zelensky appealed to the world and said that Ukraine needs air support. Ukraine needs more money because Russia is preparing for an extended war. Now look at the impact of all this. It directly affects whole world. You can imagine that if today itself the Russia-Ukraine war were to end, we could easily purchase crude oil from Russia. Buying weapons from Russia would become much easier. The issues of European sanctions and tariffs would reduce significantly, although tariffs may still remain because Trump has some other deeper issues with India. But it is absolutely in our favor that the Ukraine-Russia war should finally end. By giving this statement, Vladimir Putin has indirectly told the world as well that if you have to take any big decisions, such as whether to continue purchasing Russian weapons or not, or whatever else, you have to make that decision. You cannot postpone it, because you would remember that when Vladimir Putin recently visited India, there was a lot of discussion that the S-400 deal would happen. Maybe an S-500 deal would happen, but not a single defense deal has yet been signed. Volodymyr Zelensky has told Western countries and European leaders that the time has come to show unity. Putin is calling you pigs to your face. You are being called little pigs. And if you are wondering what suddenly happened to Putin, did he wake up in the morning, have breakfast, and suddenly say that Emmanuel Macron, Keir Starmer, Meloni, and others are little pigs? What suddenly happened? What did they say? Look, Vladimir Putin recently said that Europe's current leaders, these little pigs, along with the previous American administration, the Biden government, made a plan to collapse Russia. They thought they would trap Russia in a war that Russia would not be able to endure, that Russia's economy would not be able to handle it. They would impose so many sanctions and restrictions that Russia would internally collapse, and the Russian people themselves would turn against Vladimir Putin. And to be honest, if you look at some events in between, like the case involving Prigozhin, Putin's former chef, or some other incidents that occurred in Russia, Russia has indeed endured very difficult events in the last few years. At one point, I would even say Russia perhaps could have broken apart. But Vladimir Putin is leading Russia in an extremely aggressive manner. He has complete control over the military, the police, and the people. Putin has said that these little pigs and the previous American government thought they would collapse Russia and make a lot of money from it. Now you may ask, how would they make money? European leaders want cheap natural gas. Their calculation was that right now they are dealing with a single Russian federation. But if Russia were to break into 5 or 6 countries, competition would arise for natural gas. They could say, we will buy gas from this part, or we will buy crude oil from that part. Basically, it was a divide and rule policy. Vladimir Putin says he countered it. He kept Russia united as one country. Now, even though we are sitting in here, you might think this does not directly impact us. But let me tell you, Putin's statements significantly increase the risk of war. Even though Putin has said many times that he does not want war, that he does not want war with the West or European countries, his statement calling Europe's current leaders pigs, saying he will not negotiate with them, is extremely alarming. Putin says he will not negotiate with the current crop of leaders. Maybe he will talk to the next leaders who come after elections, because by then enough time would have passed, and they would have gained the wisdom to understand how to negotiate on the Ukraine-Russia issue and how to resolve it. For now, Putin is also saying that Russia will capture more Ukrainian territory. All these statements are extremely worrying. Let me explain why. NATO has already given signals that if a war breaks out between NATO and Russia, NATO might carry out a preemptive strike. NATO could one day launch a major attack on Russia and then announce that Vladimir Putin's statements are strange. He is calling us pigs, saying he will occupy more Ukrainian land and refusing negotiations. How can we coexist peacefully with such a country? This country could have attacked us at any moment. so we attacked first. This is a very likely scenario. It can absolutely happen. Then the question arises, if NATO attacks Russia one day using missiles or fighter jets and causes massive damage, will Russia respond by declaring war on all of NATO or not? What will happen? Will China support Russia? We do not know. But one thing is certain, the world is moving toward increasing uncertainty. The Ukraine-Russia war shows no signs of stopping, and I think things will get worse in the coming time. Now, another big development is RELoS agreement. I had told you earlier that this is an agreement under which Russia can deploy its military in India and use Indian military bases, of course, after quick permission from India. Recently, there has been a major development. Vladimir Putin came to India, then returned to his country and signed this military logistics support pact with India. You can see here, Putin signs pact on military logistics support with India into federal law. This pact has now become part of Russian law. Clearly, in Vladimir Putin's grand strategy, India will play a very critical role in the future. If you ask me honestly whether a major war involving many countries will happen in the future, only one man truly knows the answer, and that is Vladimir Putin. Interestingly, even before the Ukraine-Russia war, a reporter once asked Putin when the world would end, and Putin gave a very interesting answer. He said he knows when the world will end. Anyway, today's developments are extremely worrying, and their impact will be felt across the entire world. If there are further updates on this topic, I will continue bringing updated videos for you.